It's a beautiful morning and a couple can be seen on the bed caressing each other. Our main character, Sarah, wakes up and leaves August, her fiancé, in the bed to go wash up. Then Sarah goes to the rooftop, seemingly very deep in thought while having her cup of coffee. Moments later, August helps Sarah with her packed bags, saying he doesn't understand why she is leaving him. He reminds her that he loves her, but she remains adamant in telling him the reason she is leaving. Sarah moves in with her friend and co-worker Penelope. She apologizes for making a mess of her place and thanks her for letting her stay. Penelope shrugs it off, saying it reminds her of Sarah's college apartment, which used to be messy. She assures Sarah that she can stay at her place for as long as she needs. The ladies bid each other goodnight as Penelope needs to retire to her room for the night. The following day, at the dress shop where she and Penelope work, she decides to take a break and walks into a coffee shop not far off. She notices the shop's staff and starts a conversation by complimenting her scarf while waiting for her order to arrive. Sarah goes on to introduce herself and finds out that the lady's name is Allie. Sarah nervously invites her over to stop by their store sometime, saying they have really beautiful scarves, which she believes will be perfect for Allie. Later that night, Penelope notices that Sarah is a bit lost in thought. She tries to ask her what's wrong, but Sarah refuses to say much to her. Moments later, Sarah dresses up and checks herself out in the mirror, before stepping out to a lesbian bar nearby. She sits by the bar, and a lady named Casey requests her order so she can tell the barman to serve them already. Casey pays for Sarah's drink. Sarah takes the initiative to invite her to come check out the dresses at the shop where she works. Casey isn't interested in dresses alone, so she decides to hear more about other things that Sarah is interested in. Sarah reveals that she's a writer as well and she studies English. Casey finds her quite interesting and shares that she's a journalist. She can tell that Sarah is nervous, noticing that she hasn't touched her drink since it was served. Sarah then reveals to Casey that she is into women and that she had dated someone some time ago whom she loved, and she really wants to do it again. Casey takes her leave, but not before she informs Sarah that she's always at the bar most weekends, so she can always come by if she sees her. Sarah watches the direction Casey is heading to and quickly sips her drink. She goes in the same direction and finds her in the restroom. Surprisingly, she pushes Casey inside and begins to kiss her voraciously. She pauses to confirm if Casey finds her attractive and is into it. After getting a positive response, she continues with the kisses and attempts to take things further. Casey stops her because she realizes that Sarah is not a lesbian after all, even though she has been with women before. This makes Sarah well up in tears, as she doesn't even understand anymore what's going on with her. She reveals that it's just one woman with whom there's probably no chance of them being together, yet she keeps seeing and hearing her in her head. Casey stares at her smiling and advises her to tell the woman in her head to shut up. Later, Sarah decides to dial a number that she isn't even expecting to go through. Surprisingly, the person at the other end picks up the call and Sarah quickly drops it. It seems that she is not yet ready to completely shut her out. She decides to head home. She sips some wine while continually asking if Penelope is awake or not, until she makes up her mind to go into Penelope's room. Sarah opens the door and tells Penelope that she's drunk, and also reveals that she's gay. She also tells Penelope that she would like to spend the night in her room if she doesn't mind. She assures her friend that she will not try to make out with her unless she wants to, although she doesn't even have the energy for all that. She joins Penelope on the bed, appreciating her for being a good friend to her. She confesses that she slept with a stranger tonight. She tells Penelope that she kissed a woman, and then slept with a man. Sarah reveals that she tried for 2 women, but it did not go well. After making the call earlier, she really felt bad, so she hopped into the next bar and found a guy to sleep with instead. She expresses how men are so easy to get down with. Penelope listens to her friend attentively. She allows her to pour out her struggles, complaints, and confusion. Sarah admits that she knows that she wants to be with women, but she doesn't know how she is supposed to give up a bigger and stronger man who can lift her, move her around, make decisions, and focus on her. She goes on, mentioning all the things she loves about men, and also how women terrify and trip her up. Then, Penelope asks her if she had really dated Jane McFarlane in college because everybody knew about them back then, and she just wants confirmation. It turns out that Jane is the one woman whom Sarah cannot keep out of her mind. Sarah tells her that she hates Jane so much, but Penelope is quick to comment that Sarah doesn't hate her, which Sarah admits. Penelope turns the light off and asks her to go to sleep. Sometimes, we all need that one friend to share our confusion and issues on sexuality with. The next day at work, Sarah is going through some women's photos on her laptop, and she unknowingly blurts out that looking at the women feels like she's watching their autopsies. A customer overhears her and thinks Sarah is referring to her. She angrily leaves the store and turns a deaf ear to Sarah, who is calling her to come back. Later that day, Sarah stops by her ex-fiancé August's place to pick up a few things she left. He happens to be at home. He expresses how much he misses her and wants her back, but it seems she's happy where she is. He tries his best in acting like a jerk and pisses her off as best as he can, but Sarah knows that he is a nice guy and can never be mean to her. After getting her things, she leaves again. The next day at work, Allie comes to meet Sarah in the dress shop. She asks Sarah if she is available by 8 in the evening, asking her to come with her to an event where her friend's band is playing. They agree to meet outside the coffee shop when Sarah closes for the day. As Allie takes her leave, Sarah watches her walk away with a smile on her face. As agreed, Sarah comes to meet her at the coffee shop after getting off work, and they board a train to the location, seemingly still trying to warm up to each other. After staying a while at the event, Sarah receives a call and tells Allie that she needs to leave, but not before telling Allie she is very pretty. Allie asks to have her number so they can hang out again some other time. The following day, August goes to drop off some of Sarah's things at Penelope's house. She thanks him for everything, because, without him, she doesn't know what she would have done. She suggests he stay a while instead of leaving immediately, and he agrees. However, he soon insists on leaving after she says they should play pretend and enjoy some things they used to love doing together. August apologizes for the way she met him the other day, because he wasn't doing quite well when she came in, and he had to take it out on her. He asks if she is ready to tell him why she abandoned their relationship. Getting dumped for no reason is a hard pill to swallow. In all honesty, he has been waiting for her to crack a smile and tell him it's all a joke, but then it looks like she's about to cry. Sarah breaks down and apologizes to him, but he wants to know when it all started and if she has no interest in men at all. She shares how she dated her roommate back in college and how much she misses it. What's worse is that the lady is now married with 2 kids. She confesses her interest in men as well, but she doesn't know if she is bisexual, lesbian, or whatever it might be that she desires. August laughs loudly. He doesn't know that her sexual desires are what made her end their engagement and call off their marriage. Sarah has been a total wreck for the past week, and now she feels okay to talk about everything. She admits that she loved Jane wholly, but then she came to realize that for Jane, she was just a fling. Unfortunately, she gets lost in the euphoria of the moment, and now that singular act is messing with her. She has always liked women, but her fling with Jane made her go crazy over the whole thing. August listens to Sarah ask if she is going to date other men, which she is unsure about. He also asks if he can date other women, which Sarah has no problem with. They share a kiss before August takes his leave. Sarah finds it quite difficult to control the tears welling up inside her. Later, while Sarah is preparing a meal, she receives a call. The caller introduces herself as Colleen from the dating site Sarah visited some time back. It turns out that Sarah showed interest in a husband and wife who are trying to explore things with her for the very first time. Colleen is an interior designer while her husband is an IT guy. After the conversation, she bids Sarah farewell and asks her to check her mail later tonight. On a cool evening, she meets up with Colleen and her husband Ben. Sarah wonders if they've done this tons of times, and the couple reveals that people get scared of them because they are sincere about who they are and what they want. Also, most of the people they encounter can see that it's going to end up being more than a one-night stand, because they know that Ben is going to be in the relationship, which is quite scary for most of them. They spend the entire time talking about the dynamics of how men and women think about situations, especially how they handle them. Sarah enjoys every bit of their conversation until it's time for them to leave. She kisses Colleen right in front of her husband and bids them goodbye with a beautiful smile on her face. It's amazing how dynamic people can be. Sarah gets on the train feeling somewhat excited as she continually smiles to herself throughout the ride. In the next scene, Sarah goes over to her parents' house, and she meets her mother putting her stepdad to bed. She informs her mother that she and August are no longer together. Then she updates her about the recent happenings, also sharing her thoughts about the married couple that she will be dating for a while. Sarah then reveals to her mother that she thinks she is bisexual and that she may be dating women for a while. Surprisingly, her mom has no problem with her decisions, but she hopes that her daughter will be making good choices for her life and putting her college education to good use. Some days pass by, and Sarah starts seeing Ben and his wife more frequently. They make out, see movies, and even spend time together like couples do. The next time Sarah and August meet up, she updates him about the couple she's seeing, even though she's more into the woman than her husband. August finds it totally awkward that she'd be sleeping with a married couple. He wonders if she's staying with them now, and what will happen if one of them or even both eventually gets tired of her. She disregards it because she can also get tired of them and reminds him that her relationship with them is like every other normal relationship. Honestly, August thinks she's a very terrifying woman. A few days later, Sarah pays Ben and Colleen a visit, and she excitedly tells them how her ex reacted to the news of her being in a relationship with them. Colleen shuts her up, and all of a sudden reveals that she has herpes. Colleen tells them that she needs one of them to say something smart and comforting after the shocking revelation. She particularly asks Sarah to say something comforting to her, but Sarah looks at them in bewilderment and expresses her anger. Ben tells her he is getting tested this week and advises her to do so too, but Sarah says she doesn't have insurance and will have to pay hundreds of dollars to have blood drawn, which she very much detests. Furthermore, Colleen tells her that they cannot get intimate anymore until they know if she's negative or not. Well, that didn't turn out as expected. Days later at the store, Penelope comes around to assist Sarah with arranging some new clothes. She notices that Sarah is consistently looking outside in search of Allie, so she encourages her to go on a second date with her girl if she finds her so attractive. Sarah doesn't care much about love as she simply wants to get down, so she doesn't really know how to handle the situation with Allie. At first, Pen thinks that it is terrible for her. However, she advises her friend on how she can handle it. Later that day, Sarah receives a call from August, who is complaining about people. An unfamiliar number's call comes in, so she puts him on hold to find out who the caller might be. Allie introduces herself, and Sarah is excited to speak with her. She returns to August's call and schedules to meet with him on Saturday. Afterward, she gets back on the call with Allie. Allie informs her that she will be coming by her store to look for a dress to wear to her brother's wedding. Sarah requests to have a drink with her after she gets off from work if it is fine by her. Just as she said, Allie stops by the next day, and while she's in the change room, Sarah takes a look at her body while conversing with her. Allie picks an excellent choice of clothing, which looks really great on her. In the evening, they step out to a place nearby for some drinks. Sarah uses the opportunity to get to know Allie, her family, and most importantly, if she truly has a girlfriend. She is referring to the girlfriend Allie said she got her scarf from, but she's quite surprised that her assumptions are wrong and that Allie doesn't have a girlfriend in the way that she thinks. Allie wonders why Sarah asks her out, because she feels really nervous around her and she's not sure what is expected of her. Sarah reveals how she feels about her and how she constantly checks through her window hoping to see her. She makes mention of the many times she comes to the coffee store to buy coffee that she ends up throwing away just because she wants to see Allie. She confesses that she's into women, and maybe that's why she finds Allie attractive even though she doesn't know her last name. Although she completely understands if Allie doesn't find her attractive, she wants to know Allie's thoughts. Allie gives her an awkward smile, reveals her last name Proenza, and goes silent after. Could it be that Allie also feels the same about her, or they are on different tracks altogether? Sarah goes over to visit August that same evening after getting seemingly turned down by Allie. What a shot! She requests that they go on a date right away, but he declines. He informs her that he is currently on a date with someone. He turns her down until she takes her leave. As he closes the door, she pauses for a minute and heads back home. Rejection seems to be trailing her tonight. Sarah arrives at the house and finds some letters on her doorpost. Upon reading it, she rushes over to Ben and Colleen's house. She gets on the bed in excitement and shows them that she's clear. She reveals that she wants them to continue getting intimate, as she doesn't think herpes is even a real disease. Colleen weakly turns down her request. She reveals that they can still be together, but getting laid is out of their relationship. Sarah makes a fuss about being rejected everywhere she goes, so she suspects that they must have gotten someone to replace her. Colleen shuts her up and asks her to stop whining. She turns off the light and tells them to go to sleep. The next morning, Sarah gets off the bed and prepares to leave. She goes over to tell Colleen goodbye since she is awake. She thanks her for the experience and everything. She then takes her shoes and quietly walks out so she doesn't wake Ben up. Sarah goes off to her workplace. She spends her day writing in her journal, as she needs to keep it updated with all the recent happenings in her relationships. Later that evening, she calls August, who is in the middle of a foreplay. He excuses himself by lying that it's a family call and needs to be attended to privately. Upon getting into the bathroom, he asks if the girls are not giving her what she needs because she sounds a bit off. She congratulates him for being such a meanie. August shuts her up and informs her that he is not her go-to anymore. He tells her that she can't just come to him anymore, the same way she did like when they were together, because they are no longer a couple. He apologizes to her and reveals that he is here for her, but not just any time that she feels like it. Sarah apologizes as well. She understands the situation, and she'd be crazy not to. She confesses love to him one more time before hanging up. It seems like everything is falling apart, and it's beginning to become lonely for Sarah. She sits outside the house drunk, crying, and smoking a stick of cigarette. Occasionally she'd laugh at herself mockingly. Sarah suddenly decides to call her past love Jane. After all, it all starts with her, so why not? Jane picks up and she guesses right that it's Sarah on the line because she had called a few weeks earlier. After the pleasantries, Sarah confesses to her former roommate that she loves her and that she has always loved her for a really long time, despite trying not to. She needs to say all of it to Jane because she thinks about her lying next to her almost every day, and she doesn't know what to do about that or anything at all. The next morning, Sarah wakes up really late. She jumps off the couch where she fell asleep the previous night and soon prepares for work. She dashes into the store to meet some customers already inside making some purchases. She apologizes to Penelope for coming late on their inventory day. A few hours later, Pen comes to wake her up after she falls asleep while working. She can see that Sarah might just be having a rough time in her life. She advises her friend to get over herself as she has suddenly become a swinging bachelor who is getting laid all over town. Sarah hands her friend the jewelry binder and nods her head in agreement. As soon as Penelope walks away, Sarah receives a text on her phone. She reads the content and smiles to herself. Later, she sneaks up on August in his apartment while he is on the balcony and teasingly tries to push him just to scare him a little. She laughs seeing how quick and sharp his reflexes are. In situations like these, everyone's reflexes become hyper. Nobody wants to lose their life, you know. They share a kiss one more time and spend the rest of the day together until it's evening. They drink together while August goes through her work on her computer. He believes that she is happy since she's writing again. August drops the laptop and asks to clarify what they are actually doing with their lives. He realizes that he still loves her, and their closeness is quite disturbing. The following morning, as early as 7 a.m., Sarah walks down the street to the dress shop. She meets Allie on the way, and they exchange pleasantries. Allie requested to come by the shop later to see if there was a matching shoe for the dress she purchased the other day. Later on, when Allie comes to the shop, she asks Sarah what she is to her. She wants to know if she's just feeling some void for Sarah, or maybe it's because she is near and pretty that's why she wants her. It seems someone might just be catching some lovey feelings. Sarah asks Allie to step closer to her. This gives Allie the impression that Sarah wants to kiss her. However, Sarah confesses that she does not want to start something with her just to stop halfway through. She even tells Allie that if whatever she is feeling is just a quick fascination to her, she can go home. She also tells Allie that if Allie lets Sarah touch her, she will not stop until she pushes her away. Allie gives off a small laugh at this, asking Sarah if she has always been this aggressive. On Sarah's request, she reveals that she has gone on a few dates with a guy, but there is nothing official between them. Sarah wants to know if she has kissed a woman before, and it's nothing like hers. Ali's experience was in college, and people were cheering her on. After confirming that Allie doesn't have any infectious disease that she should be worried about, she asks if she's ready for a kiss. She gently lifts Allie's head with her palm and kisses her lips while fondling her hair. The kiss lasts a bit longer as Sarah takes off her head warmer and coat. The longings intensify, and the duo match each other's energy until they take a pause. Allie confesses that she has been thinking about kissing her ever since their first date. Sarah laughs because she doesn't consider the event they went to together as a date. They spend some more time complimenting and staring at each other with naughty smiles on their faces. That day marks the beginning of something between them as they make plans and arrangements to spend more time together. Since no one will be coming over, they move to a secluded area in the shop, and the exploration of their bodies begins as they soon get and make out until they fall asleep. The next morning, they walk out of the store and bid each other farewell. Sarah meets with August, and they have breakfast together. He wonders what her type is with women. He points her to a few women, and she chooses about one or two. So he proceeds to ask about the woman she is dating now, but Sarah claims that they are not yet dating. He asks to see her picture, and he is quite impressed upon seeing that Allie is beautiful. Sarah teases him, claiming that she has great taste in picking partners. After all, she chose him. They spend the rest of the time eating and chatting, as it seems like they are now on good terms.